I would now like to introduce Shiva to our guests. Shiva Subramaniam is the co-founder of Biomimicry Compass, an IIT Madras incubated company that enables innovation using nature's designs and strategies. Shiva is an ICF credentialed PCC coach and a facilitator, specializing in innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, and cross-cultural skills. In his career spanning over 4 decades, he has worked with a multitude of organizations, teams, and individuals, helping them in new ways of thinking, exploring connections, and expanding their vision. Shiva started his career as an advocate at the Madras High Court. Subsequently, he worked with Tata Consultancy Services, where he was evangelizing innovation. Shiva has worked with the Indian national cricket team on the connections between creativity and sports. Shiva is a guest faculty at IIT Madras, where he teaches courses on creativity, entrepreneurship, life skills, cross-culture, systems thinking, and biomimicry. Once again, a very hearty welcome to you from IDG India Collaboration Network. So with this, I would like to now invite our guest, Shiva, to share his experiential journey, as well as share his knowledge and wisdom on biomimicry. And I'm very curious to know more about what he has to present. Although we've had a meeting with Shiva, Dhananjay and I, and we've got the taste of what biomimicry is. But I come with an equal amount of curiosity as any one of you present here. So before Shiva starts, Dhananjay has shared the flow of today's session, where we will have about 35 minutes of sharing by Shiva, and post that about 25 minutes of reflections or Q&A in the bigger group itself, instead of being in the breakout rooms. So since we are not having breakout rooms today, I would invite all of you to share what arrives for you and what is alive for you after Shiva's sharing, and also be slightly mindful of sharing something that is private or personal, because we will be sharing this recording on our YouTube channel, but we will do so only with your permission. Once we've recorded this and once the session is over, we will check with you if you're comfortable with our sharing this on the YouTube channel. And yes, post that we will have the closing remarks and check out by Dhananjay. So with this, I invite Shiva to share with us what he has to.
Thank you, Ritu. I can be part of the. I don't have to be on focus, because then it will be easier to.
All right, sure. But when you are sharing your screen, at that point, yes, I think you may have to be on the spotlight, or that. How does it work? What do you think technically?
No, even if I'm not the spotlight, the screen will come for everyone.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we can leave it at this screen itself.
And as you will be the speaker, so only I guess you will be captured in the recording. Yeah.
Sure. So we look forward to Shiva's sharing on biomimicry and those beautiful images, creatives, and the colorful images. So I'm ready for a visual spectacular experience.
Hi. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Dhananjay. Thank you, everyone. I think there are some familiar names. Vishnu, hi. And hi, Devika. Hi, Deepshika. Hi, Sriram.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
So I I'm going to start with okay. Let me put up the slides. But essentially, I want to start with the video recording. But let me start with this. So essentially, we're talking about tapping into the wisdom of a 3.8 billion. It's nice to know that we have nature for company here, and a very seasoned teacher and mentor. Right. With that, let me go to the video. The video recording is the video is about a company in Bangalore that's using nature-inspired solution for making for sewage. And I don't want to be a spoiler here. Let me share the video for that.
80% of the world's wastewater is dumped untreated, leading to poor sanitation and disease. This is a particular problem in Bangalore, in India, where the lakes contain so much sewage they catch fire. Treatment plants can be expensive to run. Waste is usually broken down by bacteria that feed on oxygen, provided by costly blower motors. Bangalore resident Tharun Kumar looked to cows for a solution. These master digesters have 4 stomach chambers containing bacteria that don't need oxygen. As grass passes through, the bacteria in each chamber break it down into smaller parts, converting it into nutrients, gas, water, and waste. Tharun and his team designed a treatment plant to mimic this. It uses bacteria from cow dung, so no need for blower motors. In fact, it doesn't require any power, as gravity moves the sewage along. The further it travels, the cleaner it gets, as solid waste sinks to the bottom and the rest is converted into gas and clear water, which is safe to use outside. 50 treatment plants have been built, and the team plan to export the design to Africa. Could cows help solve the world's sewage problem?
If you want to become a profile. Hi. So we are back. So that question, can cows solve the world's sewage problem, is the question that video asks us. Apparently, it's possible because this person has already started this. He's got about 50 installations and all that. So essentially, I showed you that slide. I showed you the video to help you understand that there is a problem, the sewage problem. There is the cow, and there is the inspiration, and there is the innovation. So essentially, we're talking about this cycle, right? I have a problem to solve. I can look at the normal ways of solving the problem. I can also ask, how does nature solve the problem? And then I can find out what in nature solves that problem and use the principles of that organism and solve the problem the way nature solves it. For instance, I'm walking in a forest and I see a lotus leaf. And the minute I notice the lotus leaf, I notice that the lotus leaf is very clean in spite of being surrounded by dirty water. The first reaction for me is, yes, wow, and all that. But then after I have contained my excitement and I'm really starting to ask myself why. Why is it that the lotus leaf remains clean in spite of being surrounded by dirty water? I examine the lotus leaf more closely and I find that the lotus leaf has these small micro bumps on it. And when the water falls on the lotus leaf, the water is washed away. Which means now my entire perspective on what the lotus leaf is changes. I no more look at the lotus leaf as a lotus leaf. I look at it as an engineer who can keep itself clean in spite of being surrounded by dirt. And I say, wow, this is where the wow comes in now, and say, what is it in the world that constantly gets clean? constantly gets dirty. My clothes get dirty, my walls get dirty. Can I use the lotus leaves technology? Can I borrow from the lotus leaves knowledge? Can I use the strategy of the lotus leaf to keep my walls clean? In answer to that, there is a company called Lotusan Paint, Lotusan, Lotusan Paint, which makes paint using the lotus leaf technology. Which means that if your walls are painted with Lotusan, your walls are likely to get less dirty than other walls. So what have we learned? We have learned that there is the lotus leaf. The lotus leaf knows how to keep itself clean. We look at the lotus leaf for inspiration. And after having looked at the lotus leaf for inspiration, we pick up the strategies of the lotus leaf. We incorporate those strategies in the real world problems, and we get paint that uses the strategy of nature. So biomimicry, mimicking nature, biomimicry. That's all it is. That's all it. I mean, it's nothing else really. Biomimicry. Just remember the lotus leaf example, and we understand what it is. So my basic job is over, right, as far as explaining biomimicry is concerned. But then jobs are never over in one sentence. So which is why now I have to take you through the presentation, because So essentially now I think any one of you will start to understand. Every one of you will start to understand what I'm really saying. So tapping into everything starts to make sense now. Just remember the lotus leaf at the top of your head, saying, okay, lotus leaf example, Lotusan paint, micro bumps, water washes away. When the water washes away, the dirt washes away too. Fine. Strategy, nature. Once you understand that, then everything else becomes easy. Right? The next slide is therefore what I just said about the lotus leaf. Practice that learns from and mimics the strategies. Exactly, right? So I learn from the lotus leaf and I mimic the strategy of the lotus leaf to solve a human challenge. The human challenge is walls getting dirty. So when we actually say what is biomimicry, we say we learn from nature, we don't learn about nature. I think the proposition is what changes. We learn from, we don't learn about. So even if you say we learn from nature, I think that's more than enough as by way of definition, because learning from nature is what we are really doing. Again, when you say, the advantage of such an interaction is that we say learn from nature, but what is the meaning of learning from nature? So let's look at a tree. And what is the meaning of learning about nature? You will see that I'm sure all of us in our biology lessons have looked at the name of the tree, the size of the tree, where it is found, what are the uses of the tree. Very good, we get 100 out of 100 in biology, we were happy with ourselves. But you were saying, what is it that I can learn from the tree? So therefore, when you're standing in front of a tree, instead of just learning about the tree, can you also learn from the tree? This is what happens. So you learn how the tree humidifies air and brings rain. Maybe there is something there. Maybe there's an innovation hiding there that you want to discover. Maybe there is a way to bring rain using the same principles. You also learn that limbs create structural support. Maybe there is a lesson there for civil engineers to find out how you can create structural support with minimal materials. You also learn that the trunk moves water against gravity. Maybe there's a lesson there for people who want to use, where there is no electricity, that you still have to move water against gravity. So we suddenly the entire way we are looking at a tree changes, and say, I'm not just learning about the tree, I'm also learning some nice engineering skills from the tree, because that's what the tree is doing. So what the tree is and what the tree does is what we are looking at, right? The tree is, what is it on the left side? What the tree does constantly without having to get, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't do anything. It just keeps doing it all the time. So essentially what you have learned is what is biomimicry. Biomimicry is learning from nature, not just learning about nature. When you learn biomimicry, there are 3 core elements, which means that you learn to emulate nature, you learn from and mimic. That's what we saw. So emulation is one principle. Second principle is, what is the philosophy of nature? What does nature want to do? Nature wants to create conditions conducive to life, which means nature wants everything around it to thrive. There is no destruction etc. in nature. Supporting life is what nature does. And finally, reconnect is what we are doing now. We are saying that there is no difference between nature and humans, I don't know why. It's a larger question that we must examine together as to why is it that there is a separation. There shouldn't be, but there is. And therefore, because there is a separation, we are compelled to come, in a group like this and say, how can we reconnect to nature? Why is it that a forest is calming? Why is it that growing greenery and plants is nice? Why is it that people say that when you go to a forest, you feel nice and calm? What is that? Right? What is it? What is it that makes us want to have pets and I don't know, all this. So essentially, what is it? What is it about nature that we have lost? What is the connectedness that we can bring in is what we are looking at. This is again, once you start to learn from nature, once you understand that you're learning from a very intelligent being, once you understand there's so much to learn, you say, how can I use nature as my model? So therefore, how can I pick up the strategies of nature to solve human problems? How can I measure what I am doing against what nature is doing? And how can I learn from nature instead of simply exploiting and extract from nature? So nature as model, looking at nature's models and learning from them. Nature as measure what I am doing against what nature does. And nature as mentor, value nature for what I can learn from nature, constantly find out if nature can teach me something, right? So nature as model, measure, mentor, emulate. What are the three things? Emulate, ethos, and reconnect. And what is biomimicry? Biomimicry is learning from nature, not learning about nature. And of course, the lotus leaf example, right? So, question because a nice small group, a lot of sharing can happen. So, any questions up to now? Anything, in sense, if you were teaching biomimicry, what is it that you would want to include? How have you? But that's all it is. The next three sections are about how to do biomimicry. What are the design principles? I'll explain that, and some examples from the course that we are doing, some case studies.
Yes.
May I?
Yes, Devika. Hi.
Hi, sir. So the IDG principle, the first one of being, there was a time when our philosophies talked only about being a part of the entire world and the plethora and, being just a part of the biota. I think it's when we've moved away from the entire theory and become egoistic, urban living humanites who think they are the most superior, that, we've lost this reconnect and we need to do that reconnect with nature. So it's really lovely listening to you, sir. I'm really enjoying myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Devika. Thank you. Nice of you to say that. Any? So that's one thing. I don't know whether it's a topic for research. I really haven't figured out. I know that I feel nice in a forest, but the question is why? Why? What is it about green? What is it about the tree? What is it about the plants that is soothing, that is calming? Why? I mean, I know it's there, but why is something that I haven't figured out yet. If there's anyone who can tell me what is it that happens to me, my mind, when I'm in a forest, when I'm surrounded by greenery, what is that connect? Why do I feel happy with a pet around? What is so calming about having a dog that comes and hugs you and is friendly? What is it? I don't feel that with a human being, but why is it we feel with the pet? If we can sort of
I think because with the human beings, sir, we have expectations and we think the others have expectations of us. Whereas when you go to a forest, it's a giver we are looking at. And I think that is where we know that, it's just going to be giving you this tranquility. It's going to be giving you this peace of mind. And it's not going to really take anything away. So maybe, or even for pets for that matter, when we have a pet, it's just absolute love and no expectations. So somewhere, I think as humans, we fear expectations of other people around us all the time. And maybe
Good
that's why
one.
when we move ourselves away from humans, it's a completely different feeling.
Very good. Nice. And I think what you're saying goes back to the IDGs, right? Now, if I live the IDGs as as the IDGs are, then maybe I'll bring down the way I'm perceived by someone else. I will not be perceived as a threat, but I'll be perceived as a friend. So how can I be a friend and lose all that hostility that I probably have? I must go and ask my friends how threatening I am. And can I be less threatening? Can I be less demanding? Can I be more giving? Is something maybe the IDGs can teach us. Good one.
Yeah, if I could come in,
Yes,
Shiva.
yes, Ritu.
Yes, I like the question that you asked, and the way Devika weaved in her thoughts into this was also beautiful. So, and you also, I think, reflected and said that it's the IDGs that if we embody or if we live the IDGs, maybe, we will have, we'll understand and we'll have this answer. So I'm there with you with the same thought. And I also feel that, just like Devika said, what if we become the givers? And what if this is what we learn from nature? The sky, the sun, the moon, they're there to just give us and not take anything. And so when we have someone like that, we don't feel threatened, right? As Devika said. So then this is the quality or this is the capacity that maybe we as humans at behavioral level, if we can embody and take it deeper and make it our default, how would that look like? Maybe we can explore that also as a collective today. And I will also invite Devika to introduce herself briefly because if you'd like to know what is it that you do and what connects you to this topic, Devika. And we have Ramnath wanting to also share something. So we'll invite Ramnath after you've shared this
Okay,
thing.
so thank you so much. So I am an environment educator at Dr. Kalmadi Shamrao Junior College. This is 11th and 12th standard that we're talking about. And I constantly try to bring in new perspectives about the environment, ecology, because that's very close to my heart, and biodiversity, of course. So when it's time to talk about these things, I personally like to start with all the good things that we have, because not any of them are taught in schools, even till 10th standard and above. So what we have as jewels and crowns and precious stones in our country with respect to biodiversity are never ever discussed, or their beautiful interrelationships. So that is what I like to bring in always to the table. So biomimicry and how we do this using for use of technology is also something that we bring in all the time. So that's why this perspective for me is very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ram, Sri Ram.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Sri Ram.
Hi.
Can't hear you.
We're not able to hear you.
Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah,
Ramnath.
it was nice connecting to you, sir, today, and it's a very great pleasure to listen to your experience and leveraging all your thoughts about the biodiversity and the environment. So, when you discuss about this nature and how we are connecting human beings, it's always remembering that every human being is already, everybody's know that we came from nature. It is not like initially we have houses or we have cities or something like that. So we have already connected to nature. But the thing is, we are just away from that the nature for our existence. So the survival for the existence is right now is the biggest challenge for us. But always, whenever we go for a forest or when we go to near to nature, it is always been very humble, respectful, and very what you can say, very admirable things that we can come to the nature and thought that okay, we came to our homeland, not away from the homeland. So that's one thing when we are approaching these things. And scientifically, if you understand, because always scientific way of analyzing the things. So when we do this process analysis, always plants and the animals, we are looking at biomimicry part of point of view. Plants always go through photosynthesis process.
All right.
So it is like it gives oxygen to us and carbon dioxide it takes the daytime. And in the night time, again, there is a different process. It is taking carbon dioxide and also at the early morning, it releases oxygen. So that's why the human beings are very much present. When you go to the nature, we have a pleasant oxygen there. That is one connection without knowing to the hormones and the blood oxygen
right.
levels, everything is been connected to it. And the soil that we are, when we are going on the feet, like without shoes or chappals on the soil, it is always a better thing that the blood pressure is automatically increasing our blood pressures from the bottom to the toe to the hand. So these two are very important in scientific reasons.
Okay.
Thank you, Ramna.
So what I'll do is I'll go to the Vishnu, if you can hold that question, Vishnu. I'll just come back. I'll just go to the next set of slides.
Yes, sir. Please carry on. Please carry on.
Yeah, thanks, Ram. So, so we were here, right? We were here. So that's what we said, biomimicry, we said nature and all. I want to take you to the next slide. Why I asked Vishnu to wait is because the next three slides will give us a deeper understanding of the question as to why we are comfortable in nature. So what we have learned is biomimicry is learning from nature. Biomimicry is not learning about nature, learning from nature. We saw the lotus leaf example. We are going, I don't know, I think the 10 principles I'm going to be talking about now are, for me, I've been teaching biomimicry for now 3 years. I'm starting to understand that maybe I should start deepening my understanding of the life principles. So these are 10 design principles of nature, which means that now go back to the lotus leaf example. We know, okay, the lotus leaf keeps itself clean and all that, but the lotus leaf also has 10 design principles that it follows. And these design principles directly relate to the sustainability aspect of nature. Look at principle 1. Let me just go through the principle and then I'll give you examples around each principle. But you can go back to biomimicry.org and find out more and more examples of each of these principles. So when you're learning these principles, tell yourself, what I am learning is how does nature design? So look at the abalone shell, right? The abalone shell is 200 times stronger than any of the ceramics that you find in your kitchen. 200 times stronger. But the way, just go to YouTube after this and put abalone shells and find out how the abalone shell uses the energy, uses minimum energy to become as strong as it is. So that's the principle here. Nature uses only the energy it needs and relies on freely available energy. One of the things that I'm asking my students at IIT Madras to do is, see, when they're cycling, they're using energy. But what do? They run to the room, cycle to the room and put on their mobile phone and charge their mobile phones. But they forget that when they are cycling, they're actually using energy, and that energy can be used to charge a mobile phone. There are a couple of students already who are experimenting with, can I while I am cycling, can I use a charger that will charge the mobile while I'm cycling? Because when I'm cycling, I'm using energy. That energy can be used for the charger. So just something that we can learn from nature in order for innovation and all that. Look at this next one. Nature is resilient to disturbances. When there is a disturbance, nature is not stressed out. Nature somehow is able to handle that resilience. Principles. Nature tends to optimize rather than maximize. Nature, I think my internet. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, although
Yes,
the
Mr. Vikram.
cracking a bit, but we can hear you.
Nature tends to optimize. Nature, whatever nature has, nature uses to the full rather than building more and more rooms, etc. Nature recycles all materials. This is fairly simple. In nature, okay, by the way, let me give you a very powerful example for this. There is a company in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, that is making a coffin out of mycelium. One of my pet projects. I really want, I'm hoping somebody from this group can join and we can actually make coffins out of mycelium. Mycelium is the material that dissolves, that is easily biodegradable. Now, coffins are normally made out of teak. Teak takes about 15 years to disintegrate, which means the human body, the skeleton is inside. After 15 years, the human body is exposed to the earth. But we learn from nature that when the tree dies, the tree is actually useful even after it dies because a lot of nutrients and everything. So the mycelium coffin, if you can go to Loop, L-O-O-P is the name of the company that makes mycelium coffins. The advantage is that the coffin is made out of mycelium, which is the root of the mushroom, and the coffin disintegrates after 45 days, which means my body, if I'm buried in that coffin, at the end of 45 days, my body is starting to nourish the trees around. And maybe it's a good way to live on after you die. My grandchild can come and pick up a mango from the tree and say, my grandfather is part of this mango or something like that. So anyway, I just thought I'll bring in that example. Nature provides mutual benefits because this is something that all of us are striving to do. This is something that I don't know whether you've seen this movie, Attenborough's documentary on the sloth bear. The sloth bear is a very slow animal, as we all know. The sloth bear goes right on top of this tree and sits there because it wants to be protected. But in spite of that, in spite of the vulnerability of the sloth bear on the ground, every week, religiously, the sloth bear comes down the tree and defecates around the tree and goes back up, simply because it tells the tree, thank you very much for providing shelter to me. I'm now giving you some nutrients so that you can grow. So it's a great example of how nature provides mutual benefits. Nature is locally attuned and responsive. This is the mountain range. I forgot the name of this, but in this mountain range, what happens is there are these plants that will be closed most of the time. Only when there is rain. Only when there is rain, they will absorb. They will pick up whatever the water, etc. But at other seasons, when there is no rain, they just remain stationary like that. It's called the Atacama Desert. The plants in the Atacama Desert. So therefore, if you put a rose plant there, the rose will die because the rose is used to having water all year round. So this plant is so intelligent that it says, I will only open myself for the rain to come. The rain comes, I think, for 3 or 4 days in a year. And that time it opens, the other time it doesn't care. It doesn't care there is no rain. So it's locally attuned. It adjusts itself to the local surroundings. Doesn't complain. Nature uses life-friendly chemistry. This, I'm sure every one of you in school must have learned. The CHNO is part of the... nature uses shape to determine functionality. Nature doesn't have aesthetics. Nature doesn't have aesthetics for itself. The picture there you see there is the flycatcher. And it's shaped in such a way that it's able to, the minute the fly enters, it's able to catch the fly. It doesn't really say that I want to wear sunglasses, I want to do this, that. It simply says, this is my shape, and I'm using this shape in order to function. That's it. Nature runs on information. Again, the flycatcher example, I'm sure every one of you have seen a lizard. You must be wondering, how is it that the lizard knows exactly where that fly is, where that insect is, and waits and waits and waits. Just when the insect is just the right distance, it picks up the lizard and swallows the lizard. What is that information? Where does that information saying that the insect is at the right spot from where I am? And I think this is very powerful for those of you who want to get into computers, want to find out how how you can use nature's intelligence for software and things like that. And finally, nature builds abundant resources. For nature, there's nothing called, we run after gold and things like that. Nature is saying, no, whatever is abundant is gold for me. The picture that you see there is of something called a caddisfly. The caddisfly makes a small shell. Again, go to the YouTube on caddisfly. The caddisfly makes a small shell for itself using all the pebbles around it and doesn't really bother saying, I don't have this, I don't have that. Whatever I have now is abundant for the caddisfly. So essentially, these are the design principles of nature. Let me just inspire you with one example from these design principles. Of course, every one of this can example. We don't have the time to do that. The design principle, the design principle, nature is resilient to disturbances. Let me inspire you with the lodgepole pine forest. Now, the Yellowstone Park is where it's found. And they have two cones. The pine forests have two cones. One is a regular cone that is there in the normal condition, the seeds are released. But look at the special cone. The special cone is sealed shut, but will only open when there is a fire, when the earth is hot enough. That means once there is a fire and the entire forest is destroyed, this cone touches the earth is very hot, and then it sprouts open and the forest starts all over again. Is there a lesson in this that we can learn for life? Is something that we can talk about. Therefore, I'm starting to understand the life principles are probably as important as the innovation aspect of. So that's what it is. The next is about applying biomimicry. Let me stop for some time that if there is a question, I can answer. So what have we learned? We have learned what is biomimicry. We have learned that biomimicry is learning about nature, not learning from nature, not learning about nature. We have looked at the lotus leaf example. So that's biomimicry. And then we have looked at the life principles, how nature designs. And we have started to understand that there is a connection between biomimicry, nature's design, and behavior, which is what Ritu was also connecting the other day, right? Before we go, after about maybe 5 minutes of question and all that, we'll go on to saying, how do we apply biomimicry? I'll give you some case studies from my students on how they have applied biomimicry to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If you want me to go to the next session, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just pause for some time, just to help you, get your breath back.
Yeah, thank you. That there's so much learning in this and so many new things. In fact, I had not heard of the lodgepole pine forest and the resilience of those pine cones so far, Shiva. And thank you for sharing not just that, but so many other insights. And we had Vishnu wanting to share something with us. So at this point, Vishnu, would you like to come in?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shiva, sir, for reconnecting. I am just recollecting my memory, and with the information effort of Shiva, sir, I attended a course of NPTEL of IIT Madras on this biomimicry, and I just seeing my certificate that was on 1st April 2023.
Very nice.
With the inspiration from Shiva sir, I downloaded many materials from the original book of 𝐻𝐤𝐻𝐬𝐻 to many things, and also I regular subscriber of the e-magazine of Biomimicry Institute, and I am getting the e-bulletins regularly every month. And on the basis of that, I also prepared 3 to 4 the Sunday sharing. One is on bullet train with the inspiration of Kingfisher. Then second one was on that textile of the spider, and that starlings,
Very
and
good.
other is well. So this is very much interesting topic for me, and I'm fascinated with that. And I would request Shiva sir to reconnect me with some of the students of that startup, so
Sure.
that I can be directly involved with this experimentation and modeling, and I want to be part of this initiative in practical way. Theoretically,
Sure.
I am learned little bit things, so that is my expectation.
Sure, Vishnu, thank you. So what I'll do, yes, Vishnu, I'll connect you to the, we are getting a group of all the people. We have about, I think about 400 students up to now. They go through that course. I'll also give the others the details of the NPT. Dhananjay, thanks. Dhananjay has put up the course. Congratulations, Vishnu, for having got through the course, right? Quite a tough one, I know. So let me do one thing. Let me go to how to apply biomimicry, because I see that the time is almost 5:25. I just don't want to miss out on how to apply biomimicry, because that's what is exciting. Because it's not just enough to learn biomimicry. You can also, let me share this this student case study. Where were we? So this is what we were, right? We were here. So essentially, we're talking about the United Nations sustain. So this is what we teach. We teach biomimicry, and this is where I think the IDGs come in. This is where the raison d'etre of this group is there, saying IDGs, UN SDGs, and biomimicry. And this could be the question that we ask: what are we learning? How are we connecting? How is it that what we are learning is useful for IDGs? So just pay attention to how biomimicry works. So essentially, if you're a student of biomimicry at IIT Madras or anywhere else, doesn't matter. The way we are structured the course is that you look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, you get inspired by it, and you say, I want to choose a goal. Well, of course, we know that the structure of the UN SDG is based on 4 goals for economy, 8 goals for society, and 4 goals for the biosphere, right? So this is just a structure. Don't worry about this. Not so important. But what is important is now this. This is just the IDG slide, so essentially I want to take you to, now you are a student, right? You are a student sitting in class, and you're saying, I want to solve the UN SDGs. And then we'll ask you to choose one UN SDG. In this case, there is this lady who chose gender equality as her UN SDG. She's one of our students. I'm just using this case study to help you understand 2 things. One is the inspiration. The other is that biomimicry can solve a problem as indirect as gender equality. Now, when you say gender equality, we ask the student to learn more and more and more about gender equality. She goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and finds that young schoolgirls, 16-year-old schoolgirls, are not able to continue schooling because there is no menstruation facility in a school. Therefore, the mother tells the girl, don't go to school. And once she drops out of school, she doesn't want to continue school. She drops out forever. So this lady, the student of mine, she said, I want to solve that problem. And then we help her to frame the question. You can see the question on screen. The question is, how might we improve sanitary conditions for menstruating schoolgirls? Now, that's the problem she wants to solve. But she wants to use biomimicry. And look at the magic now. Look at the magic of the question. The first question is, how might we improve sanitary conditions for menstruating schoolgirls? Yes, you got that question. Look at the second question. How does nature solve? And this is what is called biologize. This question is called biologize. This could be very useful to people like Devika who are teaching in schools, because this is the question that turns your head away from physics, chemistry, maths, the normal way of solving questions, into saying, I'm actually turning my head into saying, how does nature solve it? Right? And then you say, wait, what Shiva, what are you saying? How does nature solve the challenge I want to address? So what do? Look what she's done. She says, what is it about menstruation that I want to solve? What is the problem in menstruation? The problem in menstruation is keeping clean. The problem in menstruation is keeping dry, and the problem in menstruation is in keeping free from infection. And this is where the skill comes in, of finding out what is the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm not solving the problem of menstruation, really. I'm actually solving the problem of keeping clean, keeping dry, and keeping free from infection. But I'm also using nature, remember. So what I do is I ask what in nature keeps clean. The leaves of bromeliads keep clean. Now I ask what in nature keeps dry, and the sandgrouse keeps dry. What in nature keeps free from infection? The morpho butterfly keeps free from infection. I look at the strategy of the bromeliads, I look at the strategy of the grand sandgrouse, and I look at the strategy of the morpho butterfly, and I come back with a sanitary napkin that need not be changed the entire day, which means that the schoolgirl can wear the sanitary napkin in the morning, not worry about sanitary conditions, and come back home without worrying about sanitary conditions. What have we learned? We have learned, and again, we already saw that nature is sustainable. Nature does not destroy, does not make toxic chemicals. Nature recycles everything. So this sanitary napkin is ultimately going to satisfy the principles of sustainability and innovation. That's all it is. So therefore, this is what we're coming to. So when you say applying biomimicry, what do? This is the larger spiral. Don't worry about it now, but essentially these are the 7 steps for going from problem definition to problem solving. Everything is easy for you to understand except the second one, which is biologize. Biologize means asking, how does nature solve the problem I want to solve? That's all it is. There's one thing that's missing, right? One thing that's missing, and there's one question that needs to be asked by you. What is that question? So go back. I'm spending some time on this because this is the heart of what we are learning. How can we solve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals using biomimicry? What are the 3 steps that we learned? We learned what is the problem I have? How does nature solve the problem? How does nature solve the problem? And how can I use nature's strategy to solve my problem? We saw the sanitary napkin example. There's one question that you must ask. What is that question? I just sprung something on you, but what is that one question that you must ask? What is that? Go ahead, just try. What is that one question? Let me give you a hint. I showed you 3 pictures, right? I showed you the leaves of bromeliads. No. I showed you the leaves of bromeliads. I showed you the sand grouse. Where does that come from? I'm not some big biology expert that has everything in my head. So what is the question you must ask? I showed you 3.
Where can we find?
Brilliant, Dhananjay.
Where can we find this?
Where can we find these? No, Shruti. Not from it. Where can we find these organisms that solve problems? And I'm going to take you to a web page that's magical. Okay, I'm going to take you to a web page that's magical. It's called. Look at this. It's called asknature.org. And in asknature.org, if you go to this, I'm sorry, what is that? Yeah, I think this stop share is not letting me go to the screen. How do I?
So we can see your screen.
You just have to. There's this stop share that is stopping. Okay, got it. Yeah. So now you go to biological strategies. In biological strategy, you look for strategies and look what happens. The magic happens now. The entire about 1,800 organisms in nature are according to functions, right? Are all put here according to functions. So you say, fine, what do I want to do? I want to protect from physical harm. I want to maintain community. I want to make something. I want to modify something.
I think, Shiva, your network is weak. Dhananjay, would you like to share your screen? Meanwhile, I think Shiva can check
Yeah,
internet.
I am just sharing screen. Ritu, can you please give me the sharing access? Okay, I guess I have. It is just asking that to
Yes.
stop share. All right. So I hope you can see my screen now, right?
Yes, now we can see your screen.
Yeah, so we can see multiple functions over here. So we can see that also, or we can search as well. So just give me any one prompt if you want to just search.
Yes. Anybody?
Maybe, yeah. Sorry, you said something?
Yeah, I was asking if any color changes. That's what Ramnath is saying. So we'll have a problem statement put here, or
The function, I guess, right?
Probably adapting to change.
Okay. Let's see. Adapting to change. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
no. Welcome back, Shiva.
Yeah. So
Meanwhile, Dhananjay is sharing his screen. You can guide him, and he will.
no, I just want people to use the screen so that when you want to do, yeah, go ahead. Dhananjay is sharing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. We just searched adapting to change,
So
and this is what we
also,
got.
for instance, go to innovations, Dhananjay. Go to innovations.
Okay,
Go to
sure.
innovations. There you will find all the innovations in the world that have come out of biomimicry. And go to sectors, right? You go to sectors, materials, robotics, safety.
Yeah. So let's say if I want to see robotics, so I can just click over here, and it will show me innovation regarding robotics, right? And this is great.
You can also go to for educators
Yeah.
side, educators, and there you will find all the resources that you can use for biomimicry. Dhananjay, go to educators.
Yeah, I will just click on for educator. Yeah.
You have to press accept. So this is for
Okay.
Devika and for teaching in schools. All the grades, she's in grade 9, but
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For Devika, I guess this would be great resource. Grade 9 to 12. Okay.
so
Yeah,
that's what
wonderful.
it is. So all
Yeah,
our
so
resources, right? Yeah.
should I stop sharing now?
Yes, you
If
can
you want
stop.
to share the PPT, yeah.
Yes. So what did we learn? We learned what is biomimicry. We learned the design principles, and we learned how to apply biomimicry. And finally, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you just one more case study so that you don't think that biomimicry is only about technology and solving technology problems. Can biomimicry can it also be used for solving non-technology problems? I have an example for you. Sorry, I have to go back to the. So this is what we saw, right? We saw the spiral. We said that if you want to, if you are in the classroom, for instance, what Vishnu said about learning biomimicry, you have to go through all these 7 steps. What I have done is I made it simple for you. So the 3 questions that you ask are: what is the challenge I want to I want to solve. And here you say, I want to learn stress. I want to learn how to manage stress. I want to learn how I can cope better. I want to know how to deal with stress. And then we say, how does nature solve the problem? How does nature solve the problem? We go to asknature.org and find, look at the magic now. How does nature deal with stress? Look for organisms that solve for challenges I want to solve. And what are the organisms that deal with stress? This you will find in asknature.org. And once you go to asknature.org, you will find the magic. I keep on saying magic, 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 but look at that. Look what ants do. Ants have interactions with nearby individuals or take cues. What are we learning? We are learning that ants also have stress, but this is what they do. Now, the whole thing about biomimicry and creativity is, once you learn what ants do, you can use your own creativity to find out whether you want to copy exactly what they do or conceptually take what they do. For instance, what are they doing? They're looking at nearby individuals. So are there people near me that I can contact when I'm in stress? Can I build a neighborhood? Can I build a neighborhood community that help each other for solving stress? I'm learning from the ants. I'm being inspired by the ants. Okay. Look at the next organism, snow monkeys. Look at what snow monkeys do. When there is deep stress, they come very close together. Is there someone I can hug? Is there someone I can go to and be with that person for some time? Is something I learned from the snow monkeys. Look what happens to iguanas. Iguanas repeatedly deplete and then regrow bone during and following times of food stress. So what am I learning from this? Now, again, it's subject to interpretation in this entire group. But what I am learning personally is that when I look at the iguana, I'm saying, wait, what is the iguana doing? It's losing bone and then regrowing it. So is there too many things I'm taking on in my life? Is there something I can not do for some time, right? Is there someone I can not take care of someone for some time and then come back when I'm okay? So am I doing too many things? Am I taking care of too many people? Am I taking care of too many things in my life? Can I lose some of that in order to, just like the iguana? So essentially, I think, from the time we started at 4:30 up to now, we are really saying that there is a teacher out there and we can learn from her. That's really what we are saying. I think there's nothing else I want to give as message. That's all. How can I learn from the iguana? How can I learn from the ant? How can I learn from the snow monkeys? That's all it is. So we're also working with schools on biomimicry. We are saying, I think this is the last slide. In schools, the example from the school is that when you teach biomimicry to school children, there seems to be some sort of a transformation in school children. Let me give you an example. There were 3 teachers. We were teaching in Tamil. We were teaching in English. It's a Tamil-speaking school. The school had 3 teachers who knew both English and Tamil. We would speak in English and they would speak in Tamil to the teachers, to the students. There were 9 standard kids. The last one, you will see the exercise there. The exercise in Tamil asks, who are your teachers? One would have expected a school child, 9th standard kid, learned for about 8 weeks from teachers called Bhuvana, Priyanka, and Revati. They were the teachers. Now, when you ask a 9th standard kid, who are your teachers? You are expected to get the answer, my teacher is Bhuvana, my teacher is Priyanka, my teacher is Revati. Without asking the question, all the students unanimously wrote, I have 4 teachers, Priyanka, Bhuvana, Revati, and I have a new teacher called Nature. Now, I think that is where the transformation, that is where the connection between IDG, UNSDG, and everything happens, because here we are saying that there are these young leaders, 9th standard kids who will be leaders 20, 25 years from now. If biomimicry can help them look at nature as a teacher, which means, all the values that I as a student bring to the teacher, which is, I will not disrespect my teacher, I will not spit on my teacher, I will not throw garbage on my teacher, I will not kill my teacher, I will not destroy my teacher. If those things can happen to us, and if every child in this world can look at nature as teacher, that child which is now 13 years, who is now 13 years old, 25 years from now is now 38 years old, is the vice president of a company. The CEO of the company comes and says, there is this forest, that there are the trees that we must cut. At that time, the child will say, I'm sorry. The child, which then becomes the leader, will say, I'm sorry, it cannot happen. So maybe the IDGs and the SDGs are not for us because we are too immune to such things. Maybe our work is with young leaders. That's my final message, Ritu and Dhananjay and everyone else. So I'm going to stop the share now. Thank you. I'm sorry about all the power cuts and all that, but thanks for managing. But that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Shiva. This is very, very valuable. And I would love to hear others also share how they are relating the three, the IDGs, SDGs, and biomimicry, and how would they like to maybe work with the intersection of these three in future, or if there's some example coming to their mind about their past experience where they have, seen the intersection of these three and it worked for them. So it would be lovely to hear their, sharing, although we are running short of time, but maybe one of you could share at this point. And after that, Dhananjay will be closing the session. So yeah, would like to hear, or has anyone shared anything in the chat?
Can I?
Yes, Devika, please.
Yeah. So like Shiva sir said, in my experience, if you look at schools now and the way it is going in the 11th standard, there is a lot of, I will not say hate, but a lot of dislike to a subject like ecology or biology. There's a lot of love for technology, and there's a lot of intake for students opting for, all this virtual world, multiverses, things that they don't even know anything about. But basics of how we live, where we live, and how we are together is lacking. And so using this and the way sir put it is going to be so very useful. I'm so glad I joined in today. So thank you so much, sir. And you, Ritu ma'am, for organizing this. Very, very happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Devika. You made our day.
Yes, and do we have few questions? If you have any question, please you can ask.
Hi,
This
Shruti.
is
I think
time.
Shruti, we have met before, right, Shruti? In the IDG. Veena, hi, Veena. Hi, Mr. Singh.
Such a pleasure to have people from IDG community and fellow coaches also join us. We have KP Singh and we have Veena from our coaching community. So welcome, both of you. I hope you all found this session to be beneficial.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you, Ritu. In fact, I attended Shiva's session. I think it was with ICF Bangalore session.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I just joined in last few minutes to reinforce what I learned from there also. And in fact, sometimes I'm doing ESG orientation programs, and therein I'm using examples from the nature to explain what is ESG for a tree. For example, a tree has an environment that it takes care of the environment, regulates the water around, maintains the ecosystem around. And the social aspect is it interacts with the other species like mycelial network, that it has a collaboration. It also takes care of the other trees.
Yes, it's called Wood Wide Web.
Sorry?
There's a nice video called Wood Wide Web.
Wood Wide Web, okay. Right.
Where trees talk to each other, nourish each other, take care of each other and all that.
Oh, that also has buckets, right?
Yes. It's a nice BBC video on the Wood Wide Web.
Wood Wide Web. I think I've seen that. It also has buckets. The bucket gets the water. It is transferred to others. Yeah. So that's what I use. And even for the governance I use, it also has a values that apple tree can grow only apple, not the mangoes.
There's also a nice example of how trees warn each other. For instance, the giraffe, when it picks up and starts to eat the leaves, apparently that tree is being eaten, that sends signals to other trees saying there's this fellow who is coming and eating us. And the other trees start making their leaves unpalatable to the giraffe. And their taste changes and the giraffe doesn't want to eat it anymore, is something that we can learn from.
Wow. And in fact, I heard this way back, around 20 years back, from a zero waste community in Africa. So they said when the herds of elephant come, the rest of the trees actually adapt themselves so that the trees cannot be fallen off by these elephants. So there is a warning mechanism that is sent. Yeah, so that's what.
Yes. Yes, no, I thought Shruti, I saw your message. I thought you were part of, there was a Shruti in the IDG group. So anyway, thank you. So thanks, Dhananjay. I think, yeah, hi, Shruti.
Hi.
There was one more Shruti, the other IDG group. So I wanted to find out if you were the same Shruti.
No, for IDG, I'm only part of this group.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought I'll come with a face so that you can be sure that's not me.
Thank you. Yes.
But thank you for the session. It was very, very informative. I've just completed my MBA in sustainability management.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And yeah, we did study about biomimicry as a case study. And I wanted to really, see how it can be implemented. And the examples were very, very relevant. And thank you for, for making us understand.
Yeah. Thank you. Look at the spiral, Shruti, and also look at those 10 design principles. Just go to biomimicry.org and everything is there. Everything.
Yeah.
Of course, Ask Nature. These are the only 2 websites you want.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And Shiva sir's course on NPTEL along with that, where you will get all the resources, and I guess it's a wonderful resource. So I'm definitely going to learn and will complete that course. I just wanted to ask one question. Means it's not directly related to IDG, but still biomimicry. Once on my terrace there was a spider, okay, and the spider's web, and it was rainy season, and the spider's web was continuously getting destroyed due to wind or due to rain. But every day when I saw, spider was working. So that gave me inspiration that such a perseverance, such a hard work is very common in nature. We look at ants, we look at any other organism, right? So this is not learning about nature, this is also learning from nature. So can this be a part of biomimicry, or biomimicry as a discipline or as a specialized science stream, if you call it, would it be a different one, or would it be a case of biomimicry? How you see it?
I think, see, biomimicry essentially is imitating the function of something. Here you're talking about more behavior. I think it would be bio-inspiration is something I would think. Bio-inspiration.
Dhananjay, biomimicry from this would be making of steel and, the ductility of steel, using that and comparing it to the ductility and malleability of a web, which is much stronger than even steel. So trying to come up with better, wires or
Here he's talking about the hard.
network.
Here he's talking about the behavior of the spider.
Yeah, so that would be biomimicry more than this would be adaptability.
Bio-inspiration.
Bio-inspiration.
Yeah.
So may I just share one more thing? So there is a I think in mythology or in real there was a king from Scotland who actually took an inspiration from a spider.
Right.
The spider was trying to rise up the wall. Multiple times it was falling. Then this king actually was defeated multiple times. Then he rose up again. And the spider was the inspiration for this king. Yeah.
His name was Bruce, I think.
The Bruce. Robert. Yeah.
All right. I don't know, but time is Dhananjay and Ritu.
Yeah. So I'll just sum up and while attending this session. So it was really wonderful, and I got to know so many things, so many aspects, right from beginning, what is biomimicry, to how do we use it to solve the problems. And while closing this session, so I'm really feel gratitude for Shiva for conducting these sessions, this session. And I would like to share one quote, because as you were talking about biomimicry, so I just thought of when we talk about IDG, right? So it's about the traditional wisdom and what we also have. There is a inspirational story of Guru Dattatreya. Anybody know about his 24 gurus? No, I'll share that just a minute. You know, Devika? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just quickly share on my screen. So Guru Dattatreya was asked, "Who is your guru?" So he told that I have 24 gurus, and he starts from earth, wind, sky, water, fire, till spider, wasp, all the nature. So these are the gurus. So in modern times as well, so whatever the problems, like Shiva said, the how do we cope with stress, which is very common nowadays. How do we solve our modern problems? And that's what the SDGs are, the solutions to the problems at global scale. How do we solve them? Biomimicry is one of the promising and one of the most intelligent, one of the most time tested for more than 3.8 billion years, right? So
Yes.
it's really wonderful to have nature as a teacher, and would definitely would like to learn more about biomimicry. Thank you so much, Shiva, for this wonderful session, and thank you all the participants. Thank you, Ritu, for arranging it. And yeah, so looking forward to providing or finding solutions with biomimicry, and maybe we will implement it and let Shiva know we have learned this and we have implemented this. So I guess that would be the best gift, written gift for Shiva, what he has delivered for us. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shiva.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Thank you, Ritu. Without the two of you, this could not have happened. Thank you.
So, so many thank yous and so much of exchange of energy.